Grace and peace, everyone. We are back. There was no thumbnail. There was no title. Your boy just got back in town from dropping President Firstborn off at college. And while I was driving, I was made aware of an email exchange that happened on the Basic Black YouTube channel. And I want to just real quick ask you all to go check that brother out over there at the Basic Black, and I'll drop the link, is down in the description. He reached out to, drum roll please, he reached out to the city of Wilmington, Delaware, and said, hey, Wilmington, Delaware, Umar Johnson is saying these things that he's saying. Do you want to say anything about that? Do you want to correct anything that the brother has said, or do you want to affirm anything that he has said? Yo, I was not prepared for this. I was not. So down in the comments, please go check out Basic Black. Great, looks like a fantastic content creator. Again, I just met him today, but our conversation back and forth via email was very cordial. So I believe he's probably, I'm going to give him, 6 to 7 bow ties for sure. He's probably a great brother. I'm going to go check out more of what he's doing anyway, but I want to give you all this because I know a lot of you all will probably be interested in this. So, okay, Jason, what are we interested in, Jason? Since you know what we're interested in, what are we interested in? I'm glad you asked. Here is the email exchange between Basic Black and the city of Wilmington, Delaware. And please, please stay still, because they replied back. And let me just say, I was not prepared for the reply. And he says this, Mr. Walker, Mr. Payton, I hope this message finds you well. Reaching out to seek clarification regarding recent claims made by Mr. Johnson. He has alleged that the city has ignored multiple requests concerning his outstanding balance of approximately $20,000 for 2 school campuses. Furthermore, he has publicly stated that the city attempted to unjustifiably take property from him, characterizing it as a case of discrimination against Black property owner. Given the seriousness of these claims, I would appreciate any official statement or documentation you can provide that outlines the city's position on this matter, including any previous communications or notices that may have been issued. I doubt his claims are true, but with constant berating of the city departments on multiple social media platforms is defamatory at minimum. Thank you for your time and assistance in helping to bring transparency to this situation. And this is Mr. Reginald Jackson. Shout out to him again. His link is down in the chat. In the comment section. Go check out what he's doing over there and leave that brother a green heart. Matter of fact, I'll drop it in the chat too. Leave that brother a green heart and tell him that DWC. Oh, I'm sorry. The J-Wave podcast sent you. Okay, now let's go. So this is pretty clear. He says, look, I want to know if you all discriminate against him. He mentions that it's $20,000 on his campuses. I did think it was interesting. He didn't have to give the address. So that made me think like, man, either A, this is some seriousness going on, or B, they already knew what was happening. They already knew. So let's bring this back in. And y'all, I do ask that y'all pray for your nephew, because my winter allergies have gone into hyper overdrive and your boy is in bad shape. Claritin and all that stuff is not working. So I'm going to the doctor tomorrow because I got your boy feeling some kind of way. All right, but I gotta give y'all this because this is what y'all need. All right, so that was the response. And I mean, that was his email to them. And this is their response. And I was taken aback. I was like, wow, if they said this about him, it says this: thank you for reaching out to us. See the response and timeline below. Here we go. Yeah, I have fall allergies. So I don't have allergies in the spring. I have allergies in the fall, and it gets really bad. Unfortunately, the statements made by Dr. Umar are simply untrue and inaccurate. The city of Wilmington has issued numerous communications concerning the 2 properties, and the communication from the property owner has been infrequent and scarce. Our goal is simple: to ensure that properties come into compliance with existing regulations. This is true of our approach on every property in Wilmington and ensures our buildings are safe and constructed adequately. We have a process to follow, and the munition order notice he received is another step in that process. We invite Dr. Umar, along with every property owner, to communicate with us, with our offices, and determine the appropriate next steps for their property that enters this phase of enforcement. Even this week, our office has contacted Dr. Umar, inviting him again to comply with the regulations and speak with our delinquent accounts team and the Department of License and Inspections to determine a path forward. Wow. Okay. This does not sound like they're just trying to steal your property, Umar. This doesn't sound like it at all. And now, down below, they list all the times that they reached out to clarify the timeline of events. October 2024. They don't say exactly when, but sometime in October. L&I, that's licensing and inspection. So L&I emailed the property owner, Dr. Johnson, requesting completion of a waiver request for the upcoming vacant property fee cycle, the 25 through 24. I'm sorry, 25 through 29. No response was received. So he was sent an email. He probably was in Ghana or something, probably in, I don't know, wherever he be. He'd be somewhere, but he wasn't there. That's for sure. January 1st, 25. Deadline to request a waiver for the 24 registration cycle passed with no waiver application received. Per squiggly line, past due fees are ineligible for waivers. Oh, okay. So he actually wouldn't have, even if he had applied for this waiver in October 24, it wouldn't have changed anything for him because of the past due amounts that were already out there. Yo, okay, shout out to y'all, Wilmington. Next, April 25. And this is when he says that this is his first alleged time communicating, but clearly they've reached out to him twice, or at least tried to reach out to him once before. Property owner submitted a 501c3 documentations and photos, but did not submit a formal waiver application or demonstrate active permitted renovations as required under squiggly line. The owner requested retroactive application of nonprofit waiver to prior year's fees, which is not permitted by code. So even if they had worked out the April shenanigans, he still would not have been able to take care of any fees that were before. So he would still have had those fees. He just would not have had the April 25 moving forward fees if he had been able to submit his. But this is interesting. It says here, but he did not submit a formal waiver application or demonstrate active permitted renovations. So all the time you hear him talking about HVAC, plumbing, wiring, lights, all of those shenanigans like that, those need to be permits. So they're saying here, we didn't have any permits from you. So we don't know what you're doing, is what it seems pretty clear to me. Yo, you cooked. Umar, you cooked. Them buildings is gone, my guy. All right, let's jump over here and finish this up. April through August 25, multiple follow-up attempts from Finance Department regarding outstanding fees, no waiver application submitted for current cycle. So they've been reaching out to him apparently. Now, of course, this is just in an email. They would still probably need to demonstrate, okay, here is the physical actual email that was sent on April 3rd, 2025, or the 3 emails that were sent between April and August 2025. They probably would still need to show that, but this seems pretty straightforward. And now, of course, just to play devil's advocate, if they were lying and they're putting this on, because this is on the Wilmington, Delaware letterhead. This is not, I cut and pasted it so it could all fit on the screen, but this is on their actual letterhead. So that would be pretty bad if they were lying and they really didn't do this stuff, but they were just like shenanigans and hijinks, that would be pretty bad because it's on the actual city of Wilmington, Delaware letterhead. That's going to be problematic. Let me get to this last one. August 5th. Due to continued non-payment and non-compliance, an auction notice. Good gracious, y'all. Y'all, do you know what that auction would look like? Please, somebody in Delaware, tell me you can go to the auction. Please, a realtor, a tax person, a lawyer, somebody who can go to the sale. Because I'm telling you right now, I will live stream it for you. I will absolutely live stream it. Can you imagine the auction sale for that? Okay, let's go. Auction notice was issued in accordance with the city code squiggly line, which allows for service by posting when other delivery methods are not completed. So that does make me think that they've tried to reach out to him via other ways, whether that be email. He already mentioned that they called or that he's gotten calls before. And then, of course, emails and regular mail. So they say, hey, because we weren't able to communicate with you through the regular means, we can just post it on the door. Because, he was all upset about the rubber band and masking tape. Well, they're like, look, this is the best we could do because you ain't been replying to us. Are not completed. Notices were posted at each property primary's entrance by sheriff's office. And of course, the sheriff would be able to say, we delivered this on August 5th at 11:32 a.m. Deputy Johnson, no, he's Johnson, Deputy Smith posted it. Yeah. I don't think this is fake. I don't think this is fake because, again, it's on their actual letterhead. And shout out to Basic Black YouTube for actually reaching out. I dropped the link in the chat. You can go check out his channel over there and drop a green heart. Let him know that I sent you for sure. Seemed like a good brother, no question about it. I don't know how he's going to get past this. I don't know how Umar's going to work his way around this because this is actually on the Wilmington, Delaware email letterhead. I don't know how he works around this. Oh yeah, I don't. The auction is going to be weird. Just the fact that they're going to be auctioning off. They're going to say the FDMG, formerly Moyer Academy, whatever. That's going to just be wild. Okay, that's just going to be wild. And what do you say here? He says the unfortunate part is that the auction is not seeing the inside. Usually, at least for residential, I wouldn't be surprised if Umar already stripped all the copper. It's a risky buy. I mean, I doubt that. Well, he alleged that the copper had already been stripped out when he was on the El Jamar show. So I wonder how much was actually in there, if it was anyway. Remember the state-of-the-art building, but we were repairing it? I don't know how that works out. I really, truly don't. This is going to be such an interesting story, y'all. I cannot wait. Thank you so much, 154 Angel. Thank you so much for going over there and checking out Basic Black and leaving him a green heart. Let him know I sent you. Yeah, this is going to be wild. All right, so shout out to RD Oliver. Thank you so much, brother, for stopping through. Okay, so the brother over at Basic Black YouTube channel, link down in the description as well as in the chat, he reached out to the city of Delaware and said, hey, Umar is saying this stuff about y'all. Do y'all got something you want to say? Let me bring it back in because I know some people have just jumped in. Let me bring this picture back up so y'all can check it out. Let me get you out the way, RD. Let me make this a little bit bigger for y'all. All right. So Brother Reginald over there at Basic Black, he reached out to the city of Delaware and basically said, Wilmington, Delaware, please forgive me. I hope this message finds you well. I'm reaching out seeking clarification regarding recent claims made by Mr. Johnson. He has alleged that the city has ignored multiple requests concerning an outstanding balance of approximately $20,000 on 2 school campuses. Furthermore, he has publicly stated that the city is attempting to unjustifiably take property from him, characterizing it as a case of discrimination against a Black property owner. I just like the way he wrote it, man. He wrote it really fun. I love it. Given the seriousness of these claims, I would appreciate any official statement or documentation you can provide that outlines the city's position on this matter, including any previous communications or notices that may have been issued. I doubt his claims are true, but with the constant berating of the city departments on multiple social media platforms is defamatory at minimum. Thank you for your time and assistance in helping bring transparency to the situation. All right, so that's what Brother Reginald Jackson sent to the city of Wilmington, Delaware. And I'm pretty sure, like myself, he probably was pleasantly surprised that they replied back with such a robust response. So let me bring this back in, and hopefully that makes sense. RD Oliver, just let me know, did that make sense? All right, and let's bring it back in. So this is their reply, and I did cut and paste it, but it is actually on their letterhead. So this is fair to say this is from the village, the city, the town of Wilmington, Delaware. Okay, it's not just, fakeemails.com or something. And it is this. Thank you for reaching out to us. See the response and timeline below. The fact that they proudly gave a timeline, to me, means that brother's cooked. I don't know if he's going to be fricasseed, fried. I don't know how they're going to do it. Shish kebabbed. I don't know if they're going to roll him around on a spit, but that brother is cooked. Unfortunately, the statements made by Dr. Johnson, Dr. Umar, are simply untrue and inaccurate. The city of Wilmington has issued numerous communications concerning the two properties, and the communication from the property owner has been infrequent and scarce. I will tell you like this. Cities and municipalities do not want to actually own property. They don't want to own property. They really want their money. Really, when the smoke clears, they want them tax dollars. They want those fees. They want those uncut grass fees. They really don't want to take over property. And I can say that pretty with a high level of sincerity. They don't want the property. They want their money. So if they have to take the property, they've done a lot. And I mean a whole lot before they get to the place where they're going to actually take the property, because they're not in business to be owning property and being landlords and trying to sell stuff. They want that bread. If you just give them the money, if you even work most places, if you just call them and say, hey, let me work out an arrangement, a payment arrangement, they would rather do a payment arrangement and go through the hassle of taking your property. So therefore, I kind of already thought Umar was full of hot air, but this right here says to what degree, what temperature the hot air is. Let's keep going. Our goal is simple: to ensure the properties come into compliance with existing regulations, like keeping the grass cut, not dilapidated, roof isn't all caving in, that kind of stuff, with existing regulations. This is true of our approach of every property in Wilmington, and ensure our buildings are safe and constructed adequately. That tells you right now, that whole thing about them trying to take the property and it's being racially motivated is hogwash. And I think most of us probably already knew that. We probably knew it was hogwash when he said it, but this right here only solidifies, like, this is what we do with everybody. They take the white man's school, they'll take the brown man's school, they'll take the anybody who doesn't follow the rules. If this wasn't Dr. Umar, if this was Dr. J. Witt, they would take my school too. They would take anybody's school if they were falling under what they're explaining Dr. Umar did. Let's keep it going. We have a process to follow. Again, they're going to go and show that process. There's no way you're going to get around that and say, this was a racial move. Like, no, this is a process we follow. Any munition notice he received is another step in that process. We invite Dr. Umar, along with every property owner, to communicate with our offices and determine the appropriate next steps for any property that enters this phase of enforcement. To me, again, just reading this, I don't think he has a leg to stand on. Like, literally, he's without a leg. Because they're saying, we invited you to come and communicate with us to figure out the next steps. It didn't say we're going to come here and Shanghai you and you better give us our money. They said, look, we just want to find out what to do. Maybe they would have put them on a payment plan. Maybe they would have said, hey, we'll take 20% now, you can pay the rest in installments. Maybe they would have worked something out. Maybe they would have talked and helped him with that 501c3 so he wouldn't have to worry about it in the future. But now he's got that plus. Even this week, our office has contacted Dr. Umar, inviting him again to comply with our regulations and speak with our delinquent accounts team and Department of License and Inspections to determine a path forward. Now, I would love for them to have said, okay, what actually happened in this conversation? Did you reached out to him? Did he say go jump in the lake? Did he say we're gonna protest? We're about to storm City Hall and you stealing from the black man? What was the conversation about and what was the end result? I would love to hear that. But I mean, I'm sure they'll be able to share that. If this ever went to court, they would be able to do that. But this is the part I think most people are pretty interested in. In October 2024, the L&I department sent an email to property owner, Dr. Johnson, requesting completion of the waiver request for the upcoming vacant property fee cycle. So they were already willing to work with him so that he wouldn't get hit with fees moving forward. He probably he put him in the book of Negroes. That's what happened. Umar put the city of Wilmington in the book of Negroes. He blocked them. That's what happened. Right on the money. Good job, Lady Henry. Good job. Okay. The book of Negroes is crazy. Okay. So they were willing to work with him to make sure that they didn't have to hit him with them fees in 25. Right there. That shows right there, man, that they were willing to work with him. No response was received. So they hit him up in October. I'm sure they probably have hundreds, maybe sadly thousands of properties that they got to deal with just like this. So they probably can't keep chasing after Umar. They can't keep coming after you. Okay. So therefore, they reached out to him again in January. Here comes a deadline to request the waiver for the 24 registration cycle passed with no waiver application per squiggly line. Past due fees are ineligible for waivers. And that right there fixes that problem that he was talking about when he said that if they had given him the waiver, he wouldn't have any fees. That's not true. He would have still had the fees that he had in the past. He just would not have had any fees from today or really from 2025 into the future. So he would have been able to still be a vacant school, which, by the way, seems very interesting that he doesn't sound like he ever has intention of there being little humans, children inside that building. But I see some people comment about it too. I don't think he ever intended it, but let's keep going. April 25, property owner, he submits that 501c3 documentation and photos, but not submit a formal waiver application. So he gave the documentation that he's a 501c3. He sent pictures. I guess those are part of the application, so that would make sense, right? However, he didn't do the formal application, fee waiver. Okay. And before you jump on my case and say, well, they should have just gave it to him, even though he submitted the 501c3, but he didn't do the formal application. Look at what else he did not give. Or demonstrate active permitted renovations as required under squiggly line. So that means that he's not showing that they're actually doing work. So they want to know why the building is vacant. Oh, the building is vacant because we got a contractor in here putting hardwood floors in. The building is vacant because we are stripping out the roof and putting in a new drop ceiling. The building is vacant because of XYZ ABC. And here's the permits that go along with it. None of that stuff was presented. And that's why he's getting cooked. That's why he cooked. Okay, let's keep this going. The owner requested retroactive application of nonprofit waiver to prior year's fees, which is not permitted by code. So instead of doing everything he needed to do, make sure that he wasn't hit with those fees in 2025, he busy trying to retroactively violate the code by looking for it in 2024 or trying to apply it to 2024 in the past, when you can't do that based upon the code that they already mentioned here. Okay, let's keep going. And that was what happened in April. So that was the infamous, what he talked about. He reached out to them in April and they ignored him for 4 months. Well, apparently between April and August. And again, I'm going to take the city of Wilmington, Delaware. This is a great question. I want to bring that back up. I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to take the word of Wilmington, Delaware. And again, they could be wrong. They could be totally flawed, right? But I'm going to take them at face value. They said they reached out to him multiple times. So they're going to have to show emails or mailings or phone calls were made, whatever proof and artifacts to show that they actually did this. But I don't see any reason why they wouldn't have, because they would have called Jim Bob or Sally Jane. But let's keep going. Multiple follow-up attempts from the finance department regarding outstanding fees. No waiver applications submitted for the current cycle. And then lastly, this is the infamous August. Due to continued non-payment and non-compliance, an auction notice was issued in accordance with the city code squiggly line, which allows for service by posting when other delivery methods are not completed. Meaning we called you, we reached out to you in email, we sent you something in your snail mail, and you didn't reply. So therefore, now we can just go ahead and just post something on your door. All right, let's keep going. Delivery methods is not completed. Notices were posted at each property's primary entrance by sheriff's office. And of course, I'm sure the sheriff's office will say, hey, the deputy, Jim Bob, posted this on the door at 11:32 on this date. So I see no reason to believe that this is not on the up and up, and I don't see any reason to believe why that the city of Wilmington did not do everything that they could have done to ensure that he was not, he doesn't lose his property. But this is a good question. Why was an old academy closed? Was it inspection? I looked a bit, but didn't do much research. As far as I understand, the Moyer Academy was a charter school. And if here in Georgia, charter schools are big. And there's a lot of places where charter schools are pretty big. So, and there's a lot of ways that a charter school can come into fruition. However, this school was a charter school, and as far as I know, they weren't meeting their benchmarks and they lost their charter. And so kind of like, would you go to an unlicensed doctor? Would you go to an uncertified mechanic? You can trust that they know what they're doing, sure. Would you go to a disbarred lawyer? Sure, they probably know the information, but you know that they're dealing with them is potentially going to be more problematic than going to somebody who's actually barred or has a certification or the license. So once the Moyer School lost its accreditation, it was all downhill from there. And once they lost their charter, that's how I understood it. But if anybody finds something else, definitely let me know. I'll definitely talk about it or whatnot like that. But that's why the original school, the Moyer School that was there, closed. But then there's also, I've read and seen, there's tons of things wrong with the land that the property is on. There's something wrong with the land because of a business that was there at one time contaminated the land. So there's a lot of conflicting things like, well, why did y'all have a school there then if it was that bad? So anyway, yeah, that's what happened. Yes, I do know squiggly line means state statute. I just like saying squiggly line at this point. At this point, I just like squiggly line. Yeah, there we go. It was an underperforming charter school, and they lost their charter, and that was it. So, thank you so much, Daisy, for the $5 super. She says, somebody help me out here. How is he broke? Doesn't he get paid thousands of podcast appearances and stuff? I always thought he was a millionaire. Okay, see, now this right here, y'all go ahead and put KZ in the chat. CAZY in the chat. I personally think that because the only way we know anything about FDMG and Umar and stuff like that is through Umar. So there's a lot of stories like this where it's a single source. There's no supporters or backers or friends or anybody else coming out to say, oh, no, this is what's going on over here at the FDMG school. So therefore, we only get this information from Umar. Personally, I think, yes, because he does bring in a hefty fee, speaking fee, or podcasts. That's why he goes to so many of them. And I think what happened is, this is just my theory. So thank you so much for this excellent question. My theory is, when he went to Africa that most recent time, before the infamous August 5th, whenever it was, when his quote unquote bank accounts were frozen, I think I believe he has two accounts. I do believe he has an account for FDMG. He has an account for himself, but they're both commingled to some degree, shape, or form. Kind of like if you have a checking account and a savings account, you can transfer money between the two of them. Okay. I do believe, in my opinion, he has both of those. The problem is he hasn't been paying his fees and such like that at the school. We already know that. But there's probably some other things out there as well. What ended up happening was, again, we only know this because he told us this, that his quote unquote accounts were frozen. And most people realize, like, if I were traveling and my bank froze my account, I would be in there on Monday morning. I'd show them my this, I'd show them my that, and they would unfreeze it at least by Tuesday. This has been going on for almost a month. That doesn't make sense. What I think happened is that he was sued by some entity. I don't know who it was. He was sued by an entity that has seized his bank accounts. That's what I think happens. So he says frozen and locked and all that. No. Your bank accounts were seized. So let's just pretend, let's say it was the IRS. The IRS has seized his bank accounts until further notice. So both of them, because they've been commingling with each other, the FDMG and whatever, Dr. Umar, yada, yada, bing, bang, bank account, both of those accounts were seized, not just frozen. Because again, like if you travel, because there used to be a time when you couldn't travel using a debit card, because debit cards were tied to your checking accounts and they were considered like fake Visa accounts. Well, now so many people have debit cards now. They've worked that out. And most of y'all can just call the bank and say, hey, I'm going to be traveling from this date to that date. I'll be in France. I'll be in Nice. I'll be in Rome. I'll be in Portugal. And then flying back from Spain. And they'll allow you to use your debit card just like you could use any other credit card. That's what most people do. But again, I've told y'all the story. We had our card locked on us one time and we were traveling abroad. It was not a fun experience. But we got on the phone with our bank and told them, hey, we are traveling. And we gave them everything we could give them because we needed the money in our accounts freed up while we were traveling. And they did it. And because we've been with the bank forever and a Tuesday, we worked it out. We were able to tell them about, charges from 2-3 years ago, to all that stuff. And they were like, yeah, this is really them. And they unfroze it. But if they didn't, we would have just unfrozen when we got back. There's no way you would go 3 weeks, almost a month without money. That don't even make sense. So to answer your question, Casey, my opinion is he probably has some bread. I ain't gonna lie. He probably has some money because he does charge a pretty hefty speaking fee. I've heard in as little as $2,500, as much as $5,000 to go sit on somebody's couch and talk. That's pretty crazy, right? So if he's doing 3, 4, 5 of those a month, he's doing pretty well. And I'm sure he's probably getting them to pay for his flight. So, but I think the problem is his accounts are seized. That's my unofficial opinion. But thank you so much for that. By the way, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hello there, you, for another $5 super. Are there any contractions or remove or renovation permits he's filed? I have not seen. I know KKC has brought those up, and he hasn't seen any, but I don't remember exactly how to look for them. That's an excellent question. Any renovation permits or contraction? I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's a way to see it, and I have to reach out to KKC again. Fantastic content creator. But I know he's looked at that before. But let me keep going. Since he's done all of this work, any real estate lawyer filed on his behalf. See, you all are asking questions that most people, let's just be honest. Let's say we got 264 people. Thank you so much for jumping into the best live chat on the internet. Let's just be honest. 264 people here, and let's say all of us own businesses. All 264 folk in the best live chat that have already hit the like button, you own a business, right? For the most part, I believe without knowing everybody's name and all their businesses, most of us try to fly above the radar. We try to do what we're supposed to do, not cause any stir, not cause any problems, right? So if we were all starting a school, if we were all starting a car wash or a laundromat or whatever kind of business, we probably would have those ducks in a row so that we wouldn't get in trouble. Because we're like, hey, I don't want to commingle my money. I know I have a friend that commingled his money. It really messed him up. I'm going to be paying my quarterly taxes. I'm going to be making sure my property taxes are right. All that kind of stuff like that. I'm going to make sure my ducks in a row about these permits. I'm not hiring just my cousin to do the water. I'm getting the right kind of people. We would probably do all that stuff so that we didn't have any problems, because we know that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So it's much better to get a license contractor to come put in the HVAC and some dude wandering around with an air conditioner's truck saying he can put it in for the low. So I don't know if Umar has done any of that. He always talks about contractors. He always talks about them trying to get over on him, this, that, and the other. But if they're licensed, why are you not pursuing them through small claims? Like, there just seems to be a lot of holes in the story. And I'm sure that all of us, if we were all starting a business, would probably follow the right path so that we won't have this problem. It seems like Umar just keeps having these problems, which to me seem to be much more a sign of the issue rather than an affront to, the city of Wilmington, Delaware. No, it's not on them. It's on you, Umar. But thank y'all so much for that, man. I really appreciate it. Very kind. Appreciate y'all. Lots of family reunion going on in the chat. But I do want to put this out there. Black Anonymous coming in. Yeah, I feel very comfortable that any contractor that Umar has used is a Pookie and a Ray Ray. Is somebody doing it on the low, somebody who's just, look, I know how to fix that. I got a wrench and a hammer. I know how to fix that. And it's probably more likely than not somebody that a upstanding business owner would want to use. So. Yeah. But that's what he's been doing. But most people have said this too. Most people have said, like, hey, he's trying to do this on his own steam. There's no team. I want to put the bounty out there. If there is a team, if there is somebody who supports Umar and you want to come on and say, hey, I rock with Umar. I know that his numbers are right. This, that, and the third. I ain't been putting the book of Negro, whatever. I would love, hey, I'll let you come on and we'll talk. Now, we need to talk in email first. But I would love to hear your story. If you're somebody who's been helped by Umar. You know what? My kid was having some problems. Umar said this, Umar did that. He came to an IEP meeting and resolved the issue. And now my kid is a banker or whatever like that. Or I was in trouble and Umar helped me and now I'm a lawyer, whatever. I would love to hear these stories because it would seem to me, in my limited understanding, that persons who have helped Umar should be the first ones in the front of the line in order to declare, like, no, Umar helped me out. Umar really did rescue me. Umar really did that. Or I gave X amount of dollars to Umar and he only allegedly shares the status of the school with his donors. So I've been donating to him and he's shown me this, that, and the other. If you want to show me what he showed you, that's great. But it just seems like to me, those people should be in the front of the line. And then also the people that have been mentoring Umar or helping Umar. Umar has said that he has, millionaire friends and lawyers and doctors who support and rock with him. They should probably be at the front of the line saying, no, Umar is crushing it. and such like that. And YouTubian struggle streamers would have no voice because we would be drowned out by these people that are out here saying like, no, Umar is crushing it and I support Umar. That would be my understanding. But hello there again with the $2. She said, who is the general contractor, Umar? See, you asking too many questions. You must be in some form of construction because you're asking those kind of questions. See, my background is education. I was wondering, where would Umar get teachers that hold his ideology? That would seem like a needle in a haystack because he's this Pan-Africanist. So he's going to need some very, very niche, very, very specialized teachers. You ain't just getting these teachers off of, Indeed.com or over at the local college graduating. You're going to need some very specialized teachers who believe this Pan-Africanism that Umar teaches. I was listening to KKC on my way back from dropping off President Firstborn, and he was playing a video. I was listening to it. I wasn't watching it while I was driving. Y'all don't be telling Georgia what I was doing. I was listening to Umar talk about his ideology in contrast to religion, because Umar doesn't believe that if he had his way, religion would be done away with. So, like, there would be no Christianity, Islam, Judaism, fill in the blank. It would be done away with. He doesn't want religion at all. So anyway, he was talking about it. I'm like, yo, this is some very interesting thought process. Who would buy into this type of teaching? Like, who would buy into this and say, yeah, I want to be a teacher at the school that teaches this? I just don't see it. So back to my point, and a lot of people have asked this, and it depends on what industry people are in, because I've heard people from the finance industry, they're asking about the business office and how are you going to keep bringing in funds and so on and so forth. People in politics that says, he's going to be on a constant fundraising cycle. He's always going to be fundraising because the school is going to be run only on donations, allegedly. So it is a very interesting thought process, to say the very least. So I'm just wondering, like, where is he going to find teachers that subscribe to his ideology? Because he's not going to want a teacher that contradicts him. He's not going to want a teacher that doesn't fully immerse him or herself in this ideology. So how is that going to work? Really? Okay, thank you again for the $2. He says, I'm a psychometric academia mentor. Really? Okay. It just seems interesting. Your questions, by the way, thank you so much for the very kind super. Thank you so much. Here. Hello, there you go. Please forgive me. It just seemed like your questions were centered around that construction aspect. Because again, I would expect people in construction to be asking those construction questions. But no, you're excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, this whole thing, Miss Independent, the tax records tell the whole story of absolute madness. Yeah, it's hard to even keep up with all of the shenanigans, hijinks, and tomfoolery that's been going on at the FDMG school. It is. They'll be writing stories about it. They'll be writing ledgers about it afterwards because it's crazy. By the way, if anybody lives in Wilmington, Delaware, and you want to go to the courthouse steps, please let me know. Fuente saying the contractor is Brother Jose. Shout out to Lennon Honor. He did a skit about Brother Jose, and that thing was out of this world. Well done, well done, well done. Absolutely. Yeah, you know his general contractor is not legit. You just know it. It might be your cousin Leroy. It might be the crackhead down the street, but you just know it is not somebody who's licensed and certified and legitimate and professional. You just know it. It's just not. Matter of fact, one time I had a contractor come over to do some work at my house, and he parked at the end of the driveway, and my driveway's not super long, but he was in the house working on something. And he said, I need my ladder. I'm like, here, say less. The ladder is right here in the garage. I just grabbed it and brought it to like, no, I cannot use other people's equipment because if something goes wrong and so forth, if I fall or something gets damaged or whatever like that, my insurance won't cover it because I was using your equipment. I said, wow, that's crazy. So he went out, got his ladder, and kept it moving. But I was like, wow, man, I probably would have just grabbed that ladder and kept on moving, man. Nothing wrong with my ladder, man. My ladder's is stable. But again, that's that professionalism. Somebody said it before, like we're trying to be professional here, and you can't do that. I mean, something as minuscule and as small as using the customer's ladder, which, grab this ladder and be quiet, man. That's what I was thinking. I was like, just grab the ladder and be quiet, man. Let's go. But no, you can't do that. You just can't do that. Yo, no, who was that superintendent from Good Times? Bookman. Now Bookman, I know Bookman because he worked with black folk. You know, Bookman was in there somewhere. So if you just jumped in, by the way, I'm gonna end this real quick because I was rushing home. Your boy I was speeding, but don't tell Georgia. By the way, if you didn't know, shout out to Basic Black podcast. Basic Black reached out to the city of Wilmington, Delaware, and asked them about what was going on with the whole shenanigans over at FDMG and them trying to steal the property and all that kind of jazz like that. And so he emailed them and they emailed him back. So if you just jumped in here, we got 300 people in the chat. So please make sure you hit the like button if you don't mind. Up your brother Al. Thank you so much for finding value in this content. But let's get this done. I'm just going to go over real quick because I found it fascinating and definitely want to hear your thoughts in the chat or in the comments later on for sure. I hope this message finds you well. I'm reaching out to seek clarification regarding recent claims made by Mr. Johnson. He has alleged that the city has ignored multiple requests concerning an outstanding balance of approximately $20,000 for 2 school campuses. Furthermore, he has publicly stated that the city is attempting to unjustly take property from him, characterizing it as a case of discrimination against a black property owner. Given the seriousness of these claims, I would appreciate any official statement or documentation you can provide that outlines the city's position on this matter, including any previous communications or notices that may have been issued. I doubt his claims are true, but with the constant berating of the city's departments on multiple social media platforms is defamatory at minimum. Thank you for your time and assistance in helping to bring transparency to the situation. Shout out to Basic Black. Let me drop his channel in the chat. Yeah, check out that brother. And if you do miss it, it's down in the description of this as well. Let him know that Dear Woke Christian sent you and tell him thank you for taking one for the team and getting this information out for us. Because, man, I did not expect this to be the case at all. So let me bring in their response. So they actually responded, if you missed that. And then I'll just get out of here because, like I said, I came in here on 2 wheels. I saw this and I was like, oh, man, I got to talk about this. I literally rushed in to do this. Lady Dear World Christian going to be mad at me. All right, let's go. Let us go. And it says this. Thank you for reaching out to us. See the response and timeline below. Unfortunately, the statements made by Dr. Umar are simply untrue and inaccurate. The city of Wilmington has issued numerous communications concerning the 2 properties, and the communication from the property owner has been infrequent and scarce. That's because you out traveling all the time, my brother. That's because you out there in them streets. You not taking care of business. They should have come by while you was outside ranting, doing a live out on the stoop. That's what they should have did. Follow his Instagram, and as soon as you see him out there on the stoop, you roll up on him and bam, serve him. Serving him live would have been diabolical. Hey, y'all missed an opportunity, Wilmington. Y'all could have served him right there. That'd have been diabolical, though. Our goal is simple: to ensure the properties come into compliance with existing regulations. This is true of our approach of every property in Wilmington and ensures our buildings are safe and constructed adequately. We have a process to follow, and the motion notice he received is another step in that process. We invite Dr. Umar, along with every property owner, to communicate with our offices and determine the appropriate next steps for any property that enters this phase of enforcement. Even this week, our office has contacted Dr. Umar, inviting him again to comply with our regulations and speak with our delinquent accounts team and the Department of License and Inspection to determine the path forward. I'm sorry. The Prince of Panhandling is in deep trouble, my brothers and sisters. The Prince of Panhandling is in deep trouble, my brothers and sisters. I'm going to say it again, brothers and sisters, for the people in the back of the church. The Prince of Panhandlingism is in deep soup. I don't know how he's going to be cooked. Is he going to be fried, flambéed, fricasseed, deep fried, rolled on a spit? But the brother is cooked. Them buildings are gone. Buildings are gone. I really wish that the only thing that would have made this better is if they had told when the properties were going to be seized and when they would be up for foreclosure sale. The only thing is, in most municipalities, you literally have up until the moment that the building, that they're on the steps. You could still run up there and work it out and get that building off the step. The sheriff could be about to read your property parcel number off. And if you get it worked out, they'll end up calling the sheriff and say, "Hey, Sheriff Jim Bob, take that parcel number off. He already paid his bill." And that's it. So I don't think that's going to happen to Umar, but I'm just saying that might be why they did not say the property will be sold on, we know it's the second Tuesday of every month. So I don't know if it'll be second Tuesday. Second Tuesday in September would be kind of aggressive. So maybe it'll be October, but it's going to probably be one of those days. Let's keep it going. So just so you know, here's the timeline, and I'm going to get out of here. October 24, the L&I sent an email to the property owner, Dr. Johnson, requesting completion of a waiver request for the upcoming vacant property fees for the cycle of 25 through 29. No response was received. I do think that's interesting because they're looking forward because they know, hey, you've already got these fees from the previous years. And by the way, you can't do anything with those fees except pay them. But they were trying to help him out so he didn't get the fees caked on to the next year. But let's keep going. January 1st, 25, deadline to request a waiver for the 24 registration cycle pass with no waiver application received. Based upon the squiggly line, past due fees are ineligible for a waiver. So if you already got fees from 2022 and 2023, you got those fees. The best you can do is not have fees in 2025. That's the best you can do. Let's keep going. In April 25, property owner submitted a 501c3 documentation. To me, this is really the crux of his problem. And we went over it already, but I'll just read it again. Submitted his 501c3 documentation and photos, but did not submit a formal waiver application or demonstrate active permitted renovations as required under squiggly line. The owner requested a retroactive application of nonprofit waiver to prior year's fees, which is not permitted by the code. So instead of doing what you should have been doing, because again, he doesn't have any evidence that he's actually doing work in the building. There are no permits being held and say, hey, we got this plumber in here. Hey, we got this electrician in here. We got this guy laying the floors, whatever. We don't have that. And I think it's because nothing's going on in there. And then also, they would know that he had permits. And I think part of the problem is also, they probably would know if he had permits because they would have been filed downtown anyway. If I was getting a contractor to come and do HVAC, I don't know why we're talking about HVAC so much, but let's say the HVAC, and then redoing all the HVAC system, right? Then he would have to, that contractor would have to file a permit down anyway, so they already know. So the reason that they're asking is because they don't know, in my opinion. Okay, let's keep going. As far as I know, I see this question. Yes, it's going to be publicly posted. They have to post it in the newspaper. Here in Georgia, there's a website that they post the properties that are going to be for sale. So you have a time, if you are a investor, or you're somebody that wants to buy it, or it's Big Mama's house, you and your brothers and sisters can get her up together and be like, hey, we know Big Mama's house is going to be up for sale because she passed away and we didn't pay the property taxes. Let's get our money together so we can get it in there. And they can run and still get over there to the tax assessor and get it resolved before the sale. I mean, you have up until the time, again, as far as I know, up until the time that the sheriff starts the sale. We are going to be selling 123 Apple Street. That point is over. But you up to the time that, I mean, I've seen people rescue their houses literally with seconds to spare. Craziness, but it is what it is. Because if it gets sold to another owner, that other owner can tack on as much fees as he or she wants. You can say, oh, I own this house now. Oh, and I bought it for $20K. And the price today is now $35K. The price tomorrow could be $55. Okay, let me get done with this. Between April, because remember he said that he reached out to them in April, and now between April and August, remember 4 months. Why did you ignore me for 4 months? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. They are posted on the door. Okay, let me ask this question. Is it like on the courthouse? How do I know what day the sale is going to be? Because I looked online and I believe their sale is the second Tuesday of every month. But I don't know when this property would go on sale. So I don't know. So Jessica, let me see. If you find it, Black Anonymous, you know who to send it to. You know, I know this guy. I know this guy that'll gladly give you credit, Black Anonymous. I will. I was watching Umar's old court hearing. He didn't even have a lawyer. Oh my gosh. That's it, man. That dude. Okay, let me finish this up. Multiple follow-up attempts from the finance department regarding outstanding fees. No waiver application submitted for the current cycle. Then August 5th, this is the infamous August 5th, due to continued non-payment and non-compliance, an auction notice was issued in accordance with the city code squiggly line, which allows for service by posting when other delivery methods are not completed. Notices were posted at each property's primary entrance by sheriff's office. It's a wrap. I don't know how he's going to, it's a wrap. The prince of scam Africanism is cooked, in my opinion. Respectfully, he's cooked. I don't know. I have no idea how he's going to get out of this. Yeah, I don't know how that. The sheriff went out on the 11th. Okay, so then it was issued that they should go out on the 5th, is when they're saying. Sorry about that. They can make a change. So, and that would make sense if they have several properties to take care of, and they still got to, keep people safe. So I can get with that. But what we do know also is Umar wasn't there. That we know for a fact. That brother's cooked. Y'all let me know what y'all think, though, for sure. I hear the 5th. I hear the 6th. I see the 11th. I think what we can say emphatically is the sheriff has served that brother, and the court case has been updated online. Do you mind sending me the link? Make a change? Even though I said I was going to get off. Let me see. Okay. All right. I definitely need to figure that. I will look into that. How about that one? Because that one is one I really want to look at. Really? So I was wondering if it would be something slow like that. Yeah, can you send us the link or send Black Anonymous the link? But again, I want to say thank y'all so much to the 325 of y'all, man. That is crazy. Thank y'all so much for stopping through. Blessing your boy with your presence. Thank you so much. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. Help your boy out. Hit that like button. All you got to do is just press that like button. That's it. I'm out. And then also leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Where do you think this is going to go? Where do you think this is going to ultimately go to? You think it's going to turn into a dumpster fire? You think he's going to get the 11th hour pullout? What do you think? Oh, by the way, thank you again. His school got robbed. No insurance. There you go. But remember I said, most of the stories we hear are from Umar. I question every story we hear from him. I have no reason to believe that that building was actually vandalized. I have no reason to believe it. I just don't. He hasn't shown any evidence apart from him saying it that the building was vandalized. So therefore, because remember when the building was vandalized, he said that they had cameras on it and this, that, and the third. Then later on, they're installing cameras. He just keeps saying stuff. Shout out to the Freeman's Network. He said, "Look, man, thank you so much for the kind $5 super." He says, I've never commented on a guy because he's never got a shiny penny from me, but he isn't any good for the family. No, I agree 100%. And that, to me, that's problematic. But, you know, people are like, you know, the black community, this, that, and the third. And actually, I'm going to do a video about why I think calling out Umar is exactly what the quote unquote black community needs to do. And he's exactly the reason why. Umar is the reason why the black community needs to step up and call out bad actors within the community. He's exactly why. So, because I got a really interesting comment from somebody about why we shouldn't do it, and I'm just gonna riff off of that. So, thank you so much for that, Freeman Network. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, that didn't look like robbery. That didn't look like any kind of vandalism. I mean, just think about it. And I'm gonna end with this. If your building was really vandalized and you wanted people to know it, wouldn't you have been going around showing like this is it, like in 4K wide panoramic view to say, hey, look at all these books they destroyed, or look at all these, they graffitied on the walls and this, that, and the other, left the water running, whatever. None of that. None of that. It just doesn't make sense. What does he say here? There is no insurance. When Umar purchased the property, there was a large hole in the room. They would not be able to get the property insured until he does the repairs. Really? See, that's what I'm saying. There's just too many flaws in this. I need independent corroboration of Umar's stories. That's it. I need some independent, somebody else to corroborate, somebody, a supporter, a mom that helped, had her kid help, a kid that was helped by him. Somebody else needs to tell Umar's story besides Umar. Because at the current moment, I think his credit is bad and he's not going to beat those charges. Okay. Bad credit has got him in a chokehold. So let's just leave him alone. We need somebody else to tell his story. A contractor, somebody that helped him, somebody that didn't help him, somebody reached out to him, whatever. Like somebody else needs to tell Umar's story if in fact his story is legitimate. That's it. Oh, that hole in the roof? I got you. I did hear about the hole in the roof. I thought he got it fixed though, but I'm not 100% certain. The Green Tree, thank you so much for the $2. Thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. Appreciate you, friend. Grace and peace to you. By the way, before I get ready to bug out of here, I'm going to leave the link to Basic Black YouTube. He is the gentleman that actually emailed the city of Wilmington, Delaware, and got this whole thing going. So please make sure you go and check out what he's doing over there on his channel, Basic Black Podcast. Again, tell them Dear World Christian sent you. No, tell them the J Wood Podcast sent you. I'm having a memory freeze. Leave some green hearts. Let them know that I sent you. Real quick, thank you so much. Hello there. Umar just started King Kong hot dog truck. It worked for wrestling. Look. I mean, the logical question is, man, if you are a school psychologist, and I've talked about this before, no other area do you hear somebody say they're a school psychologist and they're not related to a school. They're like, they could be a child psychologist, they could be a child or young adult psychologist. You never hear anybody say, I'm a school psychologist, but they're not tied to a school or even a school district. You know, I'm a school psychologist. I work for XYZ city schools. His whole story starts to sound really weird. So I don't think shout out. I don't think he wants to work. And I think he's been able to pull this off for so long that, and the begging and the panhandling for so long that he hasn't needed to actually pivot. But now I think because everybody's on his bumper, everybody's calling him out. If you just do a quick search on YouTube, Umar Johnson, it is staggering how many people, everybody getting a piece, everybody getting a pound of flesh, right? So in my opinion, this is only going to get worse for him. I don't think he's going to be able to come back to this. I don't think so. I don't know. He claims to have been a principal. And again, I don't know where it was. I would love to know. I got love in Brooklyn. There we go. Shout out to you, Freeman's Network. Thank you so much for the $2 very kind super chat. Thank you so much. All right, good people. I am going to get ready to get out of here because I just got back from dropping off President Firstborn at college. And I got to go and walk around the house because the house is quiet now. It's quiet. One child down. So she's already texted me already, though. So I got to see what she's got going on. So what about the mold in the building? Says conservative lady with the very kind $2 super. I've heard this as well. And that would be part of the permitting. That would be part of the permitting. He would need to have a permit showing that he had the mold remediation people come in to remove the mold, the black mold, the green mold, the white mold, whatever mold. And at the current moment, it sounds a whole lot like he might need to be looking at Amazon or DoorDash because I don't think he's gotten those things resolved. Conservative lady, thank you so much. Maddie, thank you again for the $5 super sticker. So I don't think he's gotten those issues resolved. And that's going to be part of the problem. And a lot of people are calling out that, and I couldn't find it because like I said before, I ran into the house. There is an EPA report about that property, and that property is pretty damaged as it relates to contamination and such like that. So that property itself, the actual property, the ground, is problematic. It's not just the building itself, but it's the ground. I mean, the whole thing needs to be scraped out. So there's a lot of issues there. And Umar I don't think he thinks, I'm sorry, he knows that most people don't know that. And so he's just trying to run that game. So everybody, thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Thank you again for hitting that like button as you're on your way out. Make sure you tip your waiters and waitresses on the way out. Hit that like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. We're going to probably come back and talk about it more as more of this comes out. But again, shout out to the Basic Black podcast for taking the time to reach out to the city of Wilmington, Delaware, and getting us all this good information. His link is down in the description. Leave him a green heart. Let him know that the Jay Witt Podcast sent you. I really appreciate it. Everybody, I need to get this car unpacked. So until next time, grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.